And we are doing it. We're live. All right, guys. Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here. I am so glad that you were able to tune in and join me today. Thank you guys so much for the 6 of you here waiting. I'm so glad. I'm sorry about the delay. My wife had to go to the grocery store this morning because we have not actually been in a couple of weeks. And so she was off doing that, and I was watching the kid, the baby. And when she got back, I was very nervous about disinfecting everything and washing my hands about 1,000 times. So there was a lot of that kind of thing going on. But we are all good. We are all here. I'm feeling a little bit better. I definitely never had COVID, nor was I too worried about it, but I was definitely a little down in the dumps last week. Feeling better now, trying to get a lot of sleep and take care of myself. How are you guys doing? Are you guys taking care of yourselves? Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Coach. It's good to hear from you guys. Online groceries, great idea. We shopped at Mariano's as well, but we're not. I don't know. We didn't do the online thing. I don't know. So spread the word. Let's see if we can get a few more people online. We're not going to do too much chemistry today. Actually, we're going to do zero chemistry today. But I did want to share something with you guys. So I kind of had a plan. So my plan was for today and tomorrow to give you guys some. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Was to give you guys some stuff to think about, and then probably come back on Wednesday and talk chemistry. So that's on bells. So like I'm assuming, Ryan, you're talking about bells that you like pick up and ring, like do 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 do. So that's pretty sweet. And I actually wanted to talk about actually, Ryan, you're kind of on the right track for something I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to get back to that in a few minutes. But first, say hi if you're here. How are you guys doing? I'm glad that you're able to join. Please text out this link right now to people. Let's try to get some more people on here. So if you can just take 5 seconds and send out this link. Oh, xylophone bells. Okay. If you can just take a couple of seconds to send out this link, please, and tell people that, hey, this is happening. It's going to be short and sweet and to the point, but I'm going to give you guys something that I want you to work on. And then we're going to say goodbye for now. So please take a couple of seconds and spread the word to any chemistry students that you know to say, hey, hop on the stream right now. It's going to be a couple of minutes, and then we're going to be onward. So logistic stuff. Good job with keeping on taking attendance, everybody. Thank you for doing that. And are you staying healthy? Are you staying safe? Are you doing, all the things that you're supposed to be doing? Let's look at, so my picture idea did not go very well. I had Madison. I think she posted a picture of her, I'm guessing either brother or cousin, couldn't be too sure. We had Joaquin post a picture of a very nice Evo. That's a sweet car. Spoiler for double the speed. And we had Caitlin post a picture of her pupper. He's a very cute pupper. And then Ada attempted to post something, but unfortunately I couldn't follow through with the link. So that whole idea that I had, maybe not the best. I don't know. I thought it was cute, but nobody really wanted to participate. So it is what it is. But thank you guys for those of you who did post them. I don't know if you're here right now or not, but I appreciate that. What I want to talk about today is over the weekend, I saw a cool video. If you have a bad attitude about this whole situation, you probably aren't going to really love this. So I'll give you fair warning as far as that is concerned. But it was astronaut Chris Hadfield. He's a Canadian astronaut. Caitlin, thank you. I thought it was fun too. So you know what? Shun the non-believers, okay? Shun the non-believers. We're going to Candy Mountain, Charlie. We're going to shun the non-believers, and everybody who participates gets a gold star. So that's what we're doing. Candy Mountain. Thumbs up if you know that reference. Sorry if you don't. YouTube it. That was what the internet was like when I was a kid. It's a very different time. YouTube, very different place. But anyway, where was I? Oh, astronaut Chris Hadfield posted a video about life in these circumstances. And like I said, if you have a bad attitude pack, what's up, my friend? Thank you for being here, my sir. So you actually you made it to the actual chemistry stream today, so that's fantastic. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we're not actually talking about chemistry. We are going to do that later this week, though. So I'm going to have you keep tuning in, Pack, and you're going to get a chance to get your questions answered. No problemo. But anyway, if you have a bad attitude about the whole situation, then you're probably not going to love this message. But I'm going to tell it to you one way or the other because I thought it was a good message. So, astronaut Chris Hadfield has spent a long time on the space station in what is definitely a form of social isolation. Certainly, you have your crewmates that are up there with you. Noe, glad you're here. Hello. Certainly, you have your crewmates that are on the spaceship with you, and you've got some sort of contact with Earth by calling people, emailing. I'm sure they can probably send and receive videos, but I don't think there's any kind of video chat that can happen. So no FaceTiming, no Skype or Zooming or anything like that. So it's definitely a form of social isolation, right? And we are talking about astronaut Chris Hadfield, who posted a YouTube video this weekend that I thought had a really strong message, and it's going to be my assignment for you guys for today. It's not chemistry related. It's just an assignment that I want you guys to do. So his message was, saying basically he has spent a good amount of time social distancing up there on the space station in a very dangerous environment where lots of things could go wrong at any given time. And he talked about how do you stay productive and how do you continue to get your job done in those situations. And it's interesting. Obviously, it's a life that he chose. He dedicated, probably since he was at a pretty young age, he dedicated his life to learning and studying and training to do this job. I mean, he was in the Canadian Air Force before he was a astronaut, so I don't know when in his life story he decided he wanted to pursue that career path. But going into outer space and putting himself in that situation was obviously a choice that he made, which is very different than the situation that we are in right now, where this is a choice that we have not made. Pretty much all of us, if given the option, would have chose something a whole lot different than this. So right off the bat, you do have to understand that there's a slight difference between what Chris is talking about and what we're going through right now. But that doesn't make this message, I think, any less important or any less good. So he says, how do we stay productive while we're up there in this form of social isolation where we have our crewmates and we have some contact with the outside world, but not all that much. And there's 4 steps. I put up 5 fingers. 4 steps. So step 1 is to know the risks. And I was reading some psychology, and I'm not a therapist by any means, so nor am I a doctor or really qualified for pretty much anything else. But when you are in a position of anxiety and when there is a great deal of risk around you, that requires action from your body. So when we are in a stressed situation, it promotes our body to act. So understanding the risks is one thing, but also maybe going through what the worst case scenarios are and what you would do in the event that any of those situations happened. So for an astronaut, worst case scenarios, the ship is leaking or there's a fire or something's broken, anything like that. They train for those situations so that they know in the event that those things will happen, this is how they will act and this is how they will handle it. So what are the risks for us? And how would we address them if the worst case scenario happened? So with this disease, as more and more information is shared about it. If one of us were to get it, here's how we would most likely feel. Um, Very short of breath, and maybe with a bad fever, up and down, up and down. And that shortness of breath is to the point, not after like you feel short of breath after you run a mile, short of breath where you can't even finish a complete sentence without getting winded. And so that's really scary. And so what we would need to do in that event, in that situation, is we would need to rest. We would really need to just isolate ourselves from everyone as much as possible so that we don't spread it. And the body would need to rest. And if we can just slow down and stop and take a break, we'll be feeling better pretty soon. And that's us. That's a normal, young, healthy person on average, right? So that's your risk. Honestly, not too bad. Something that you will survive. What's the risk of spreading it to someone else, right? So right now, you may have heard over the weekend, we passed over 1,000 cases in Illinois. And if we continue on that trend, we're going to have around 6,300 cases by Friday. So I'm calling it right here. You can see if I'm right. I'm using science and math to predict that by Friday, we're going to have around 6,300 cases in Illinois. Maybe I'll be wrong, but that's what the model would predict right now. If about 5% of those cases need critical care, like a ventilator, and those are mostly going to be old people, or people with underlying lung conditions. All right, but if around 5% of those cases need ventilation, that's around 300 ventilators that we will need, and we've got about 1,500 ventilators in the state, but a lot of them are in use right now, and that leaves around 300 ventilators in the state of Illinois available. So in a week, hey, Ryan, that's the kind of stuff that we just want to keep off the stream right now because it's not constructive. All right, buddy. So that kind of stuff really doesn't need to be like thrown out around there. I'm just trying to, like I said, go through understanding the situation right now and why we need to social distance. So here's the thing, like we would be close to running out of ventilators by the end of the week in the worst case scenario. That's not necessarily going to happen. This is the worst case scenario. But like astronaut Chris Hadfield says, understand the risks. So in that situation, we would need to get help from other states or from the federal government. And they say they're working on that. Keep our fingers crossed that it's actually true. So the risk of you getting this, not that big of a deal. Probably. Okay, you're not immune to it, and it would be a really bad week for you. But the risk of you spreading it to somebody who would then need critical care to be on a ventilator in a hospital or something like that is high. And if we run out of ventilators, what happens, right? So that's the kind of thing that why social distancing is so important. And the reason I'm spending so long talking about this is because I still see a lot of people not taking it seriously. I still see a lot of people saying, well, only 9 people in Illinois have died. Okay, there's, like it's 9 people. What's the big deal? Well, that number is going to go up really fast, especially if we run out of the things that could save people's lives, like ventilators. So by the end of the week, we might need about 300 more people on a ventilator, and we have about 300 more ventilators in the state. And when we run out, what are we going to do? So that's why social distancing is so important, because we want to stop that from happening. And the only way we can stop that from happening is by stopping the spread. So I see a lot of people still not taking this seriously, and that's why I want to talk about that. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with going outside. In fact, what you should do is you should take a walk. It's like a winter wonderland. It's actually, you know what? I know it's like amazing. Whoa, all this snow, where did this come from? Just take a second and look at it. It's beautiful right now outside. It's absolutely beautiful outside with the snow, and it's all going to melt, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be warmer later this week, so no big deal. You should totally get outside and go on a hike or something like that. but keeping your distance from people. That's exactly the kind of thing that's okay to be doing. So know and understand the risks. And the risks are great. And that's why we need to take this seriously. Because if we take it seriously, a successful quarantine means nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. And what that means is that nothing will have happened to your family. And that would be success, right? People say, why didn't you, do you guys remember SARS 1? No, exactly. That's a good thing because we handled it. We want that same thing to happen here. If we are successful in this, it will feel like it was not a big deal at all. That would mean success because we won. I know, Noe, you're going to have to think about other things that you can do to fill that urge. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. So the next step after you know the risks is to understand your mission. So set goals. And this is going to be my assignment for you guys. Uh-oh. Mission. You got the idea. Understand your mission. Understand your mission. Set goals. Set goals for today. Set goals for this week. Yikes. Maybe set goals for this month. Set some goals for yourselves. You might have to get a little creative as far as that goes. If you have an instrument in the house that you've never learned to play, maybe now would be a great time to learn how to play it. Maybe you want to focus on being a little healthier and losing a little weight. That's something that I've been working on personally. Maybe you want to learn a new subject. We have access to like the entire wealth of knowledge of the whole world. If there's any time in human history to be quarantined, this is the time. I mean, we have computers and the internet and cell phones and air conditioning if it gets warmer and we're still in this situation. So just think about that and the advantages that we do have and set some goals for yourself. And if it's to get closer to your family by spending more time together, by doing something like watching TV with your mom, like Noe, like you said, a goal doesn't have to be some grandiose, amazing thing that you would never be able to accomplish. It can be simple. If you're an athlete and you're missing the ability to practice, work out, exercise. There's plenty of exercise you can do at home with no equipment at all that is very effective, especially if you're a female athlete. One of the most important things that you can do is get stronger. That'll make you a better athlete all around. So, I mean, I guess that's important for females and male athletes, but female athletes tend, I think, in general, maybe don't lift as much as male athletes do. I don't know if that's true or not, honestly. But it's important. And like I said, there's tons of stuff that you can do at home to get stronger. It's going to make you a better athlete when you come back to the sport. Learn a new language. You've got apps on your phone where you can spend 10 minutes a day learning a language. Put something on your resume so that when you are writing college essays in a couple of years, you can say, coronavirus was a really hard time. During that time, it was hard because I wasn't able to go to school or go to practice or do the things that I'm used to doing, but I spent that time learning French. I spent a lot more time, I learned how to play keyboard or the xylophone, right? What would be a lot more beneficial, Coach? I don't know if you're talking about the female athlete thing or oh yeah, right. Study for the SAT exam, absolutely, right? Like, think about the things that are coming up in your future that are not going to go away. SAT testing is not going to go away, right? So what can you do in the meantime to better prepare yourself for those situations? A couple years ago, the Chicago Blackhawks, right? They won They won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago on a shortened season. So there was a strike amongst the players, and the season got shortened. And during the time when they weren't playing, a majority of the team was overseas practicing and playing in other leagues while they were waiting for the NHL to get back. They were working on their conditioning, they were working on their strength, they were working on their skill. And they came back, and the NHL season started, and the Blackhawks were faster and more skilled and more capable than any other team in the league, and they won the Stanley Cup. You have a chance right now to give yourself an advantage over everyone else if you take this time and use this time to your advantage to train and practice. And I'm talking about not athletics, I'm talking about, like Coach Lynch said, the SAT, for example, right? You have an advantage here where if you take this and take advantage of it, you can give yourself a step up over your competition. And that's going to do great things for you when life goes back to normal. So set some goals and don't be afraid to do that. And the third goes along with that, and it's know your constraints. So in space, you can't maybe do everything that you might want to do. There's certain limits you have in space, and there's certain limits that you have right now. You can't sit at Starbucks and chat with your friends. You can't go out to eat. Maybe, you want to learn to play an instrument, but you don't have access to one. That would be a constraint, a financial constraint. That's just something that, okay, then you have to move on to a different goal. Understand and accept that there are always constraints, no matter who you are in life. And make sure that your goals are not in conflict with your constraints. This is going to make sure that you can actually achieve your goals. Because if you set a goal that you can't achieve because of some constraint you have in your life, you're not going to be able to achieve your goal. So know and understand your constraints. And if there's any way that you can work around your constraints, then you can do that. But make sure that you keep realistic with what you're working on. And then finally, step 4 is to act. Is to go out and start doing it. And most times in life, getting started is the hardest part of anything. Reading that first page of that reading assignment that your English teacher gave you is the hardest. Because then once you get reading, you're going, and you're okay. Getting started in anything is always the hardest part. Well, for me, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but I think it's a common experience. Starting is the hardest. So once you set your goals and understand your constraints and risks, act. Take action and start doing those things. And once you get started, you'll find that it's easier. You have to overcome that initial friction to motion. And then once you get moving and you're started, you're going to find that you can do very successful, very great things. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to set goals. I'm going to post a question in Google Classroom that's going to say, tell me what your goals are. And how are you going to achieve them? Is your goal studying for the SAT exam and you need some materials? Maybe a constraint is you want to study for the SAT exam, but you don't have any materials. I happen to know somebody who's here in this stream with us right now who has access to a wide range of materials to help you study for the SAT exam. So there are definitely ways that if you have constraints, we might be able to help you get over those constraints. So that's why I want you guys to communicate with us so that I can help you to achieve your goals. But in order to do that, you have to set them and you have to be willing to act. And if you're not willing to act, it eventually does have to come down to you and your motivation and what you're willing to accomplish. But if you are willing, you can do great things. And this can be something that you put in that college essay, that you put on that resume that says that when this terrible thing happened in the world, I didn't shut down and give up. I was strong. I was dedicated to my life and to improving my life And that speaks volumes about your character and the kind of person you are. And that says more to a college admissions reader than any grade or GPA could ever tell them. It shows them that you're willing to work, and that means a lot. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. As Chris Hadfield would say, take care of your spaceship. This is hard times for everybody. You're not alone. There's support all around you. You have to be willing to take the steps that you need to take so that you can actually take advantage of that support. So be strong, and thank you for joining me today. And spread this around, please, to people who didn't see it. Share this on your social media, and because the link will be live for people to watch the replay. So share this out, let people know that this happened, and set some goals. We'll reconvene tomorrow, and we'll talk about those goals that you set and how you're going to accomplish them. And then on Wednesday, we'll do a little more chemistry. I'm trying to balance the chem and the life. So that's my plan. But thank you all for being here today. I'm going to say goodbye for now. I'll answer any questions in the chat. So I'll stick around for a couple minutes and answer any questions that you guys have. But goodbye for now. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you guys soon.